Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. Day one of free agency. I guess we're sort of still in the middle of it, but it feels like things have calmed down mostly. I'm Trevor Lane, joined by Keith Smith. Keith, I'm assuming we're not going to yell tonight.
No.
We're both
It's
too
far too
exhausted
late
for that.
Yeah, I'm too tired. I've been up all day, like multiple hours now, and it's way too late. Family's asleep, so no yelling tonight.
No yelling, but we are going to go through and break down some of the biggest deals of free agency. We'll talk about some of the signings. We'll talk about the big trade, the Denver Nuggets trade. We'll get into that and everything else going on around the NBA. Happy to see y'all here. If you haven't done so yet, please make sure that you do hit the subscribe button over here on the NBA Front Office Show. All right, guys, let's get into this here. And I guess, Keith, let's just start with the big trade.
Yeah.
With Michael Porter Jr. going to the Brooklyn Nets, Cam Johnson going to the Denver Nuggets. We do have a draft pick involved there as well. I talked about it a bunch on the Marathon 4-hour live show that we did over on Lakers Nation. What were your thoughts on the deal?
Yeah, stunning. Kind of out of nowhere deal. Huge for the Nuggets. I don't know, especially, excuse me, in that Nuggets system, that Cam Johnson is that big of a downgrade from Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. plays a lot as a kind of a almost designated shooter at times. They don't have him doing a lot off the dribble because everything runs through Jokic or Murray. Gordon also handles the ball a decent amount. So now you get Johnson, who is, every bit as good as Porter as a shooter, can do a little bit off the dribble, better defensive player, and most importantly for the Nuggets, makes like $17 million less.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely huge. And then I don't hate it for the Nets. They get an unprotected 2032 first-round pick. That's 7 years from now. Who knows what Jokic will be or what the Nuggets will be by then. That could end up being one of those picks if we're fortunate enough to be doing this. We will be like, what happened? How'd they get that pick again? Where did that pick come from?
Right.
Kind of conversation. So yeah, I think I get why the Nets did it, but huge for the Nuggets. Nuggets open up the ability to potentially use the non-taxpayer MLE. Bruce Brown's going to sign with the Nuggets. We can just talk about that briefly. That's going to be a minimum deal. So all around, I think a really, really good night for the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good trade for Denver. Michael Porter Jr., interesting pickup for the Brooklyn Nets. For them, obviously, the first-round pick is a big deal, but the Nuggets also saved so much money in this that I really like that in here. So I think this is a good bit of work here for Denver. That pick could wind up coming to haunt them at some point, but I don't know that it's really much of a downgrade at all to get Cam Johnson on this team. He's going to be really solid for them. And the fact that you were able to get Bruce Brown as well, the Nuggets have, I think, done a really nice job here. We've talked about this. The Denver was probably going to have to break up their core four: Aaron Gordon, Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. And we talked about how Michael Porter Jr.'s salary might be a little difficult to move. Well, they found a team with plenty of cap space in the Brooklyn Nets, and that Nets team is trying to acquire as many draft picks as they can. You incentivize them with a pick, and you didn't really, I think, hurt the roster at all while saving yourself a good chunk of money. So, again, I like this for the Denver Nuggets. I thought they had a great night, and to me, this trade made a lot of sense. Now, do they have enough room under the cap to use an MLE still, Denver? They have rumored to be connected to Al Horford right now.
Yeah, I've got them $14.9 million under the first apron. So, and that's with 2 open roster spots. So if you could use it all and then just ride that 14th spot, you could use some of it and then go, a little bit different, that direction there. So we'll see. My guess is they probably don't use the entirety of the MLE, but I think they'll use some of it. Actually, let me rephrase. They're a little bit less than that. Because Cam Johnson has some unlikely incentives in his contract. So they're about 11 million under, but yeah, enough room to fit another signing in and go. They could have another small salary dump. I know they've talked to teams about Zeke Najee and some other guys. So we'll see with that. So
All right, Keith, let's jump into some of the other signings and stuff. And let's, obviously we're both excited.
let's do the Nets since we're on it, right?
Yeah.
Bring back Daron Sharp and Zaire Williams.
Yep.
Fine. Really good value contracts. I'm a little surprised with Daron Sharp. Thought there might be a little bit more of a market, especially when the Nets did make him a restricted free agent. But yeah, so we'll see with that. And then and then get Porter Jr. You have Terrence Mann, you got all the rookies coming in. It's kind of a funky Nets team. I don't think they're done by any means. But yeah, interesting, right? The way it's kind of come together for them.
Yeah, the Nets. I think the value is good, especially with the team option on the second year on Williams and on Dayron. So yeah, I look the Nets. I thought did a nice job. I thought they got really good value on their guys. I was surprised there wasn't more of a market for Dayron Sharp as well. But he'll be back with the Nets, 2 years under contract, and then they'll look to hit free agency again in 2027. Same thing with Zaire Williams. And again, we don't have to go. We're not going to go over every single deal, but let's touch upon some of the biggest ones. Keith, you and I mean, I guess we should mention this. You and I spoke a signing into existence, kind of, on this show. We had Jake LaRavia signing with the Lakers, 2 years, $12 million. Keith, I was in all of the craziness around Lakers Nation. Is the second year, is that an option year? Is it straight deal? Has that been revealed yet?
Just 2 straight years? I don't know. I haven't seen.
Knowing the Lakers, it's probably a player option.
Probably. But yeah, I haven't seen anything on that. So yeah, I mean, good pickup for the Lakers on the cheap, right? It's a very reasonable contract. I think Jake LaRavia can play. Fills a need now with Dorian Finney-Smith gone. You needed another forward in there. So I think it's a really solid work by the Lakers to get Jake LaRavia. It doesn't really change any of the things they can do otherwise, down the line. So I think they did all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid value signing. They've got the Lakers obviously have a lot of work to do. They've got more stuff. They've got to figure out the center position. They've got a lot more things that they need to sort through. Lakers fans, I know, not happy right now. Long way to go. and Keith, we did see the Chris Haynes twice put out that LaRavia was returning to the Kings, and mistakes get made sometimes.
Oh, wait, a source off going on for a minute there.
It seemed like it. It seemed like it.
I'll answer this real quick. Mike Down says, why weren't I part of the live 4 hours ago?
Was.
I jumped in briefly to help explain, but that was the Lakers Nation live. It was all that was not the front office show live with that. And the bigger reason, Jordan Venter says, hope my procedure went smoothly. Jordan, I very much appreciate that. It did go smoothly, although I did have like a tube down my throat for a large chunk of this morning. So if I'm a little scratchy or clearing my throat, I'm trying to mute when I do it, but if I miss, I apologize for that. So,
well, and again, we don't have to. We'll get through some of the big deals here, and then we'll just talk about some of the big ones, and then we'll call it a show. We won't go,
for sure. And we're going to be doing multiple shows this week, so yeah,
it won't be a marathon. I've been sitting in this chair enough anyway. And I have more to do after this. So let's jump over to actually, I want to talk real quick about the Mavs. I really like the D'Angelo Russell signing.
Yeah.
2 years. This is a taxpayer mid-level, the 5.685 number, we'll call it 5.7 million deal for D'Angelo Russell. Can play on ball, can play off ball, can be the on ball guy while Kyrie is recuperating, can switch to off ball after that. I dig the deal here for D'Angelo Russell. And I especially like, his biggest shortcoming is the defensive side of the ball. But you've got Anthony Davis, you've got Cooper Flagg, you've got Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. You've got these big bodies, these long arms and everything behind D'Angelo Russell. So I think he's going to be a real nice fit there for the Dallas Mavericks. And in terms of finding somebody that can be that stopgap while Kyrie is out, I like D'Angelo Russell's fit, and I like the value here on the deal as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is really good for the first 40, 50 games, whatever it is, till Kyrie is back. And not only back, but back and can carry his full minutes load.
Mm-hmm.
So really good work there. And then I think with like you said, the ability that then he can move off ball, he can move into a bench role, he can play beside Kyrie some. That is really important, I think, for the Mavericks. You needed to get somebody in there who wasn't going to then be reduced to a 15-minute a night player only the rest of the season. So I think that is really solid for them. So we'll see, where that kind of goes with that. That's kind of all that they could do. They didn't really have enough room to do anything beyond that. They are now hard capped at the second apron, but they have more room than they did a year ago, which is good. But they have a very full roster. That's the bigger issue with Dallas. They've got 15 guys under contract. So I don't know. Unless it's a trade, I don't see anything else coming for the Mavs.
Okay. And then jumping over, I know the Dennis Schroeder thing is not done yet with Sacramento. We've known. I wonder, and this is a bigger topic for us to get into at another point, but we had a lot of stuff that we knew well ahead of time. We knew how many years Dorian Finney-Smith was getting from the Houston Rockets yesterday. We've known Dennis Schroeder was going to the Sacramento Kings for multiple days. We've known D'Angelo Russell to the Dallas Mavericks for multiple days. This is the kind of stuff that including the number, the dollar amount on D'Angelo Russell's deal. This is the kind of stuff the NBA,
go ahead.
They've been trying to cut down on this. I do wonder if, maybe a few weeks from now or something, when the dust all settles, if we hear a little bit about the NBA not being too thrilled with the way this free agency played out in terms of how much stuff came out early.
Yeah, I think there's pieces and parts to that. I think with like D'Angelo Russell, like the number was known because that was really all it could be there. So we'll see with that. But then I think to some extent they get a couple extra days out of the news cycle, right? With some of these stories. So I think it's more when you do really complicated things like the Bogdan Bogdanovic thing from years ago, where it's like, hey, a week ahead, we know we're doing this really complicated restricted free agent sign and trade. Then it's like, wait, what? I mean, you remember when Kemba Walker went to the Celtics? It was like a whole week in advance.
Right.
And like he was already in Boston, like shopping for a house and stuff. And I was like, we were like, okay, cool. I guess we're not going to jump on that one. But yeah, I mean, definitely a little weird.
Sure. Okay. I guess let's talk about Houston. Pick up Dorian Finney-Smith, who I think is a phenomenal fit. Houston's had a hell of an offseason. Pick up Dorian Finney-Smith, great fit for them there. And then going and getting their former center from a few years ago. Welcome back, Clint Capella. I mean, Keith, like I've been talking all about how there's a shift in the NBA and the shift in front office thinkings. We're going back to the centers again. And now we're seeing teams not just get one center and then we're going to play small ball behind them. Instead, now teams are getting multiple centers. We even just saw the Utah Jazz make the move to get Yusuf Nurkic to combine him with Walker Kessler. And they have other bigs as well. But the Houston Rockets now have Alperen Sengun, Steven Adams, and Clint Capella. What's going on in Houston there? Again, who have had a fantastic offseason, but they get Capella and Finney-Smith. What do you think is up with having three legit centers like that?
Well, that's it, right? The Rockets have three legit centers. The teams you and I support don't have any. Like, it's a little unfair, but I mean, like, desperately need bigs.
Right now, if Derek White or Luka Doncic were to throw a lob to the dunker spot, there is no one there to catch it.
Yeah, well done. Nice Moneyball reference.
Yeah, there we go.
The Capella one's a little weird to me. Somebody in the chat said Jock Landale too. Jock Landale's probably getting traded for Clint Capella. The Rockets are going to want either the Finney-Smith deal or the Capella deal, or possibly both, but probably at least the Capella deal. We know because it's already been reported what's going to Atlanta in that's going to be a sign and trade. My guess is what we're going to see, the Hawks, who are still a mile under the luxury tax. Great. We're going to talk about them probably next because great couple.
The Hawks, that'll be next.
Week and a half for them. But yeah, Capella's going to go. So when Capella goes, they have to send something back. So it's very likely to be Jock Landale. And then when he goes back, that takes him out of the mix. But yeah, you've got Sengun, you've got Capella, and you've got Adams. And Capella and Adams have both missed some time in the more recent couple of seasons. So you could keep both of them fresh and just kind of mix and match and play whatever. And they even played Şengün at the 4 some. So all kinds of things. I think Finney Smith's just a nice, versatile addition for them in their rotation. There, we'll see. There's some who think he's going to start. I don't know. I think they'll probably run with Jabari Smith Jr., but maybe not. We had already talked about Van Vliet and KD, obviously, and then re-signed Jeff Green, Aaron Holiday, and Jayshawn Tate out of minimum deals. So I'm not going to say they're done, but they're probably pretty close to done.
Sure. Okay, let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks. Have made a number of moves. Of course, Keith, the big move, pick up Luke Kennard.
Yeah,
that's the big headline grabbing move. No, the Hawks have been very, very active. Obviously, they made the trade for Kristaps Porzingis. They're going to wind up being the landing spot for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And this Hawks team, Keith, the Hawks are looking at the Eastern Conference and saying, "Hey, why not us?"
Yeah.
And they're going out there and aggressively making moves to go for it. And I think Alexander Walker is going to be a phenomenal fit. I like their wings with, of course, the great barrier thief himself, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson. Hopefully, he, fingers crossed, can stay healthy. You've got Zachary Sachet. Now you've got your bigs. You've got Onyeka Okongwu. You got Porzingis, Trae Young. This Hawks team, significant changes, and I think some really positive additions to this roster.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think getting Kennard it's an overpay at $11 million, but you lock down a really good shooter. He's one of the best shooters in the league. And on the nights when you need more shooting, you throw them out there because they're going to be able to put the defense around those guys. This is how Trae Young succeeds, right?
Mm-hmm.
You put a whole bunch of defenders on the floor around him. And I will say last year, he played with real effort for the first time on the defensive end. He's not always good, but he really got after it. And I think that part is really important, because if you're giving effort, at least then Quinn Snyder can build schemes where it's like, hey, hold up for 2 seconds. We'll send help. We'll scram you out. We'll do whatever we got to do. We're going to get you there. And if he could do that, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I like a lot what's going on there.
I do too. Yeah. I really, that Porzingis trade, we already broke it down, but really liked that addition for them. He just gives them something completely different from Onyeka Okongwu. I think Asa Newell at the draft is going to be really good for them. And they've still got enough flexibility to do one or two more things if they need to fill out the roster.
All right. What about the guys in Memphis, the Grizzlies? They come to terms on a deal with Santi Aldama. They land Ty Jerome. I know this Grizzlies side, they made the big Desmond Bane trade, but I don't mind them getting Ty Jerome. I do have questions about how defensively he's going to fit with that team, particularly when we're looking at, does he play minutes with Scottie Pippen Jr. on the floor? How does that go? But ultimately, in terms of the value, the amount spent, not bad. And then the Santi Aldama deal, restricted free agent, and they were able to get him on that 3-year, $52 million deal. So I don't mind the value on these contracts. I do have a little bit of question on the fit on Ty Jerome, though I really like him as a player.
Yeah, and Alex asks, where does Cole Anthony go? That's the reported move they're going to make, or a buyout or something. I think his dad on NBA TV before free agency even opened might have let the cat out of the bag a little bit, because he goes, I don't know, they might work a buyout with Cole. But still, it was kind of funny moment there. But they have to do that because they're going to renegotiate and extend Jaren Jackson Jr. And they've got to create about $10 million in cap space to do that. They could get to a little over 3 pretty easily. So then to get to the rest, sounds like Cole Anthony's probably going to get moved on from. Where does he go? I don't know. In some ways, he may want to just work a buyout and pick his spot where he can go look around who needs a backup point guard, who needs a scoring guard off the bench, and he can go there. We'll see. But yeah, I think the Grizzlies have done pretty good work. All things considered, they were definitely resetting after the Bane trade, but I think getting the guys in that they did are really important for them. And I think it's a pretty good value deal for Aldama. I think the roster right now it's a little flush, but they've got a bunch of young guys too that are pretty good. I think, maybe a little step back without Desmond Bain, but I think they're
Mhm.
still going to be pretty solid.
Let's jump over to the Clippers, who grabbed Brooke Lopez on a 2-year, $18 million deal. 37-year-old Brooke Lopez sticking around in the NBA. He gets close to Disneyland again here and goes to the Clippers. Again, we talk about teams are now focusing on having multiple bigs. I know the Clippers have had multiple bigs for a while here, but still, Brooke Lopez to back up and beat Zubats. That's 48 minutes of pretty solid rim protection there
Yeah.
between Big Zoo and Brooke Lopez. That's a lot of size you can put on the floor, and he gives you the floor spacing to give them a different look there. And then you go back and you look at, you can say, well, Brooke Lopez is 37 years old. Yes, but you look at his games played over the last three, like the dude just does not miss games over the last 3 years. He's played in nearly every game all season. So hang it in there just fine. And I think he's going to make a real nice 1-2 punch with Big Zoo with the Clippers.
Yeah, it gives you a different look offensively too. Zubac is all around the rim. Lopez doesn't. If he goes in the paint on offense, it's only because he's cutting through to the other side of the arc. Like at this point, like he just does not play inside anymore, and that's fine. They don't need him to. That's they get Zubac. So yeah, I think pretty good. They're re-signing Nick Batum, re-signing James Harden. So running it back with Lopez in the mix, and I think that's pretty good for the Clippers. They've got a couple roster spots still open. We'll see what that looks like. And this now takes a little bit of the pressure off Yannick Conan Niederhauser. They drafted in the first round because now he doesn't have to play. He can just develop and learn the NBA game. He's pretty raw, so it's going to take a little while.
Keith, we should mention, at this point, my brain is slightly mush. But while we're on the Clippers, as I recall, James Harden's contract is not only a partial guarantee on year 2, but also a player option.
Yeah. So this came up with Josh Hart. This is close to a mutual option and that they have in Major League Baseball, where if he opts in, then his contract's only partially guaranteed, and the Clippers could just waive him and get out of there. Hug Nation.
You're going to be giving out a lot of hugs at Summer League.
I hope so. I hope so. Hey, come on, guys, push us over 40K. We're like so close.
There you go.
It's killing me. We're like that's all I want. I want 40K. But yeah, so it gives the Clippers a little bit of protection, right? If he turns into a pumpkin this year and falls apart, he'll opt in, and we don't know what the partial guarantee amount is yet.
It's the Terry Rozier.
Yeah, I hope it's not Terry Rozier because that's just silly. But yeah, so we'll see with that, and then they're really what they're doing. Like Lopez gets a 2-year deal, Harden gets a 2-year deal, Kawhi has 2 years left. They're really loading up to make a run over the next 2 years, and then there's going to be a hard reset for this team coming in a couple years. But that's fine. It's they're really going after it. Yeah, the next couple years. So I think that's really good. Where do I find you guys at Summer League? Best place to find us is probably walking around in the concourse.
Yep.
Like that's where we're there. It's if it's I know for you, if it's a Lakers game, you'll be working, doing game coverage.
Yep.
I'll be, a lot of the day I'll be in sports business classroom, doing the instruction there. But around that, I'll be around. I'll be checking out games. So just look. I'll usually say like, "Hey, I'm walking around." If anybody wants to say hi, so yeah.
All right. What did you think was the best value of the day?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't mean to put you in the spot. I have one in mind if you want me to go.
Yeah, you go ahead and then we'll see. Maybe
mine's Bruce Brown for the vet
Okay.
man. Yeah, I really like the value there for Denver. That was the one that made us all go, "Oh my God, they got it!" And just a little thing that I've noticed over the years, and we've talked about this before, with somebody who's breaking the news, typically Shams, tweets out the deal, and they don't put the dollar amount of the contract out there, that usually means it's a minimum deal.
Yeah.
And that was the case here. And I was like, oh my gosh, did they really get him for a minimum? And they did. That was a great deal, I thought, for the Nuggets.
Yeah, we already talked about it, but I like Darren Sharp. That's a really good value deal. I like Nickeil Alexander Walker. I think the contract's pretty solid.
Mhm.
I'm trying. Oh, Jordan Clarkson, whenever it happens to the Knicks. I
Yeah,
think
that'll
that
be a
one's pretty
minimum
good.
deal.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Good for the Knicks there to have him in the fold. So yeah, I want to say none of the deals that came out in the last few days, because a handful of guys got done early.
Mhm.
Nothing jumps out at me as like, oh no.
I was gonna say, there aren't
Like
really any, like,
yeah.
awful ones.
The Capella one is just weird because it's like, did you really need a third center for
Right.
$7 million a year? Um, but yeah, nothing really jumps out and is like, oh my gosh, that's these well, what a terrible contract, which is good. I'll might as well do it now. Yeah, Boston has nothing up front anymore. It's Nemish Keita and Xavier Tillman Sr., and that's kind of it. Up front, Amari Williams is going to be on a two-way deal as well. So we'll see. But they were never going to match $10 million a year for Luke Cornett. They just can't at this point. It's that would put them right back over the second apron, and the entire purpose of the trades they made was to get out from underneath the second apron. We'll see what happens with Al Horford. There was earlier tonight, there were multiple people saying it's done, that he's going to the Golden State Warriors. Then people said, actually, Denver's in on Al Horford. The Knicks are in Al Horford. And then it came out, hey, he hasn't ruled out going back to Boston yet. So who knows what will happen there? I'm not sure. Boston did get Luka Garza, too. So we'll see where that goes. The kind of your hope is it goes a lot like it went with Luke Cornett a few years ago, where it was like,
I don't mind him.
nobody really thought anything about it. And it was like, okay, whatever. It's just depth. And Luka Garza might turn out to be okay. He's a fairly solid offensive player, but he does really nothing defensively. So it's still very much a work in progress. Boston is still looking at maybe moving Anthony Simons in the deal where they can kind of continue the reshuffling. So I don't think they're done yet.
Yeah, agreed. Speaking of Boston, we should mention Cornette winding up with as expected with the San Antonio Spurs. They've been the team most often connected with him in terms of rumors and things like that. 4-year deal for Cornette, so pretty good job there for a guy who's been a backup for his whole career. But
do you know how much? So he had $41 million deal. You know how much he had made in his career before that?
I'm guessing here. Minimum deal. I'm going to say like 20.
Less 13.
13. Okay.
13 million. So he makes almost his career earnings. So good
in
for him,
year.
right?
Yeah.
Like just really just really happy for Luke Cornett.
Mm-hmm.
He is just a really good guy too. He was beloved in Boston. Everybody loves him teammate wise. So, and he actually has really grown into being a very productive 25-minute a night center. So I think you'll really solid work for the Spurs. It's going to be interesting. I saw one of the funnier tweets I saw was if he teaches Wemby how to do the Cornette contest, like no one will ever make a 3-pointer again against the Spurs, which I thought was pretty funny.
That's funny
with that. So yeah, don't spam the chat, especially with Jericho Sims. Like
right.
Unless you're Jericho Sims himself,
unless you are Jericho, or family or something like that.
Let's talk about those two on the bottom there for Phoenix. I'm not drunk, I promise. I'm just very, very tired. I've been up since 3:30 this morning. So I'm pushing close to being up for 24 hours. So it's I'm very much running on fumes. Colin Gillespie had a really nice year as a two-way player for the Suns when kind of all other point guards for Phoenix kind of washed out and didn't really do a whole lot. He was really, really good for them. So I'm really happy to see he gets the 1-year standard fully guaranteed contract, because this is a guy too, if you remember in his rookie year with the Nuggets, he broke his leg. And like there were questions of, is he even going to get his career back? Like, where's that going to go? And for him to do that. And then Nigel Hayes Davis, I don't know if people remember when he was in the NBA before, didn't really do all that much. but he went over to Europe and tore it up over in Europe. He was the EuroLeague MVP. So coming back to the Suns to give them some depth again at a position, he really plays the 4 position where they didn't have much depth. It's kind of Rasheer Fleming, and that's really it. I think that's really good work by Phoenix to fill a couple spots here where they really had needs with a couple guys who are, again, no one's jumping up and down over these signings, but I think just solid signings for the minimums.
All right. Keith, do you want to run through some of the, do you have any other signings you wanted to discuss? I know we said we weren't going to do all of them. Do you want to run through some super chats here?
Yeah, we said we weren't going to do all of them. By the end, we'll probably do all of them. Trendon Watford, good. I'll just quick hit a couple. Trendon Watford, good value for Philly on a minimum deal. Gershon Yabusele sounds like he is gone for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with
Where
that.
will be interesting.
There. And then Tyus Jones to the Magic. This one's kind of interesting to me. One, good backup point guard for the Magic. I think will be really solid for them. Fills a real need. Challenge is, though, this uses a chunk of the non-taxpayer mid-level and hard caps the Magic at the first apron. So going to be kind of how are we working around that in Orlando? Because there's going to have to probably be something else to come because they're carrying quite a bit of salary right now. So there's definitely going to be something that happens there.
Okay. All right. Let's jump into some of our super chats here. I know a lot of Lakers fans upset. Rob went back to sleep after losing Dorian Finney-Smith and getting Jake from State Farm.
I think so. It's only 9:00 on the West Coast. Might have went to dinner.
Yeah, probably. And again, like I said, a lot of Lakers fans that are mad. Let's let the dust settle, see what they ultimately do here.
Regency's been open for 6 hours.
Right. Right. And remember, like, if you're, I know for the most part for the Lakers, it's kind of DeAndre Ayton or bust right now, which is maybe not a great spot to be in, but there's
seen a lot of fan bases talking themselves into DeAndre Ayton over the last day.
I mean, there's no one else. That's the problem. There's no one else out there. It's there's tumbleweeds rolling across the center market right now. So that's where we're at. We'll see where everything is when the dust settles, but they've, obviously they've got other moves that they're going to need to make. Pelinka gets zero credit for the generational Luka Heisey. I disagree with that. And I'm not the biggest Pelinka defender. I've been very critical of a lot of the things that he's done and not done and value that has disappeared under his watch and all of that. But you can't be critical of him and then just be dismissive of every positive that he does.
Yeah.
That's not a fair way to look at things.
Lakers getting Drummond and you will like it. Oh, I mean, we've been there, done that.
There's some Lakers fans that miss Andre Drummond. Yeah. He was kind of funny.
I don't think he's leaving Philly though.
No,
he's on the,
he's not.
$5 million contract with the Sixers. I think he'll stay right there.
Darren said his Luke Cornett signing to the Spurs a good deal. We just talked about it, so we don't have.
I think it's a pretty good spot for him. I think it's a pretty good fit for San Antonio as well.
All right, Bronny Van Exel, interesting name there. Yabusele re-signing. No,
Nick Van Exel's number, right? Was it Van Exel 9?
Yeah, number 9. You're right. Possible depth for the Lakers. No, I would think the favorite would be the San Antonio Spurs, but I know like Nuggets fans are on pins and needles hoping to get him. There's a lot of fans would want to get him on their team. So it'll be interesting to see where he ultimately goes. I think the Spurs make a lot of sense. Go play with his French countryman Wemby, but doesn't sound like he's going to stay in Philly.
Yeah, there's multiple reports out of Philly that was why they went for Trendon Watford, because they weren't gonna be able to re-sign Yabusele, which, I mean, he played himself out of their price range. That's pretty much what it came down to.
And then LeBron for Jimmy Butler or LeBron for Kyrie Gafford. Well, first of all, if LeBron was going to Dallas, it would be to play with Kyrie and Anthony Davis and play with his friends and all that. But we've had reporting today that the LeBron trade stuff or him, it's not really a thing. They're just trying to put pressure on the Lakers to do something, maybe unsuccessfully based on the way the things have gone so far, but it's still early. But I don't know. Let's see where things are mid-July.
It's just really hard to trade a salary that big. You can. And here's what also made it even more difficult. The Nets are now sitting on 16 to 20 $5 million in cap space, and that's it. So like
Yeah.
you're kind of in a spot now where it's like, oh man, where are we? What are we going to do here? Like if we got to get a third team involved to move that big trade exception, and Atlanta is now mostly gone, so we're just in a spot where it's gonna be a little interesting to see how that works out.
All right. Wonder where Chris Boucher goes.
Yeah,
I wonder that too.
yeah,
He's the kind, like
yeah.
a day 2, day 3 free agent. He may wind up going somewhere.
Well, and the word out of Toronto was they were trying to they sat him down at the end of last year because it was basically done that he was going back to the Raptors. But now that Raptors roster is stuffed full, so I'm just not sure that's going to be how it plays out.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Warriors are favored to get eaten. I haven't seen that. I don't know. I don't want to talk anymore about DeAndre Ayton. That's a lot of people are putting an awful lot on DeAndre Ayton. I don't even know how much he likes to play basketball. That's
that's right. If there were options,
yeah,
I think people. But
sure.
I mean, it's like I said, it's tumbleweeds. It's a ghost town right now. Looking at the big man market. So
if you're tall, people want to throw some money at you.
Yeah, if you think Rob Pelinka is a Disneyland right now, he might be. But if he is, he's wandering around looking for people who are 7 feet tall and offering them Lakers contracts.
Is Robin Lopez get anything left?
Yeah, right.
Somebody asked about Miles Turner. Yeah, little interesting. There,
weird that didn't come through yet.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be like a 6:01 p.m. Eastern time Miles Turner new deal with the Pacers.
There was a little bit of news that came out end of last week, and it was basically like the Pacers were all gung ho on we'll pay whatever it takes to re-sign him, and we'll go deep into the tax and all that. And then it was we still want him back, but we got to look at some stuff with Halliburton out. So I think now it's things have gotten a little weird there. So I think that's going to be let's see. I think that's going to be a little interesting with that. There's a couple people asked about different restricted free agents. Yeah, restricted free agency is dead. There's those guys are going to have to sit around and wait and take offers, or ultimately they're going to have to do sign and trades. Maybe those are even a little bit difficult because of base year compensation issues.
Do you see the picture too?
Yeah, the picture's funny. That is funny. Well, we've been working a lot. That is true.
We definitely have.
So we'll see. What comes with that, and then with those restricted free agents. So I would not rule out maybe a guy or two just signs a qualifying offer and says, "Forget it, man. I'll go back into free agency next summer." There are supposed to be more teams. We did get another piece of news. NBA says the cap only 7% raise next year, so that's a little interesting.
I thought it came out that it was a 10%.
No, it went up 10 for like this year that we're going into.
Oh, I thought you were
talking
about
after.
Okay.
Yeah. They're instead of 10 again, they're saying only 7. I think it's those regional sports networks, I think, are really killing them right now. That they've had so much issue with that stuff there. So we'll see, where that goes. Sometimes they're a little conservative early, and then it creeps up with that. So, but yeah, I don't know though. I know talking to some teams tonight, there were a handful that were like, yeah, that kind of screws things up a little bit because that's not the full 10% that people were banking on for 3 straight years.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll have plenty of time this summer to evaluate what that's going to mean in the long term for sure. The Lakers aren't under pressure unless LeBron actually wants to leave. This is a game of chicken where LeBron is riding a tricycle by choice. I mean, who knows what's going to happen there? Like maybe he does actually. Maybe he looks around at the team and on July 25th and he's like, nah, this is going to work. And he says, hey, I'd like to be traded. You never know what's going to happen.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Shams was saying tonight too, like Giannis is still like, we'll see what happens, with this. So, who knows, what's going to go in there. This one just made me laugh because this is like a tired comment and it's probably not that funny. Now I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Ayton and Maxey backcourt is enough. It's getting that bad for the Lakers. They're going to be in the backcourt.
Yeah.
Jeez. Like I mean, I didn't realize it was that tough. Like they're playing a whole inverted style now.
That's what it is.
Ayton and Maxey play in the backcourt.
Nobody's going to see it coming.
Center.
Nobody's going to see it coming.
That's it.
It's going to be the strategy.
All of a sudden, Ayton is valued. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's what Trevor said, though. He's the only guy there.
Yeah. I mean, it's
so
literally there's no one else that you could do. It's a scarcity issue. It's not so much he's the best player out there. Have we found out what the Rockets deal was? Sign and trade.
Capella is going to be a sign and trade at least. We'll see. Yeah, what happens from there? It doesn't. That's the only one that has to be. Everything else works for them just fine. So,
someone tell Rob Pelinka this isn't 2017 when GMs let superstars hit the open market. He's talking about the Dave McMenamin thing about the Lakers trying to maintain flexibility for 2027. Yeah. And look, I'll talk more about that on Lakers Nation.
I'll just give my piece on it. I don't hate the idea of playing the short-term game a little bit more. I don't like the idea of basically if it turns into we're just going to kind of play out this year and next. Like that's just I don't know how many guys are going to be all psyched about that. So, but it is what it is. So, let's see what they do. Like we said, it's only we're only 6 hours into this thing, and so quite a bit left to go. There are still good players available. There's still trades to come. We're definitely not done here. But Nuggets got better. People are saying in the chat.
Sure.
Absolutely did. Yeah, Nuggets are in a really, really good shape now. Let's see what they do. I mean, let's see where they go the rest of the way. They've only, got like one more roster spot to fill. So, I don't know. And it's funny. It's, you and I, Celtics and Lakers fans here, and like everybody's like all down and grumpy, and the rest of the NBA is like, oh, boo-hoo. Go cry yourselves to sleep.
They are
no one feels bad at all. So,
yep.
No, I don't think the Lakers are getting.
You went to the Rockets.
He's going to the Rockets, but thank you for your $1.99.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. So, all right. Out of steam.
Yes. We're gonna go get some rest. Appreciate all of you. And we'll see what tomorrow brings.
So I'll answer this one from Patana7. Is earliest and best available free agents left? I tweeted one out, so I'll do another one in the morning, just in case anything else comes out tonight. I think there was like Gary Trent Jr. got signed after I tweeted that out, so I'll put one together. I'm going to take Schroeder off it now because it does seem like he's definitely going to the Kings.
Yeah, it definitely does.
We'll work through that in the morning, but lots more to come.
All right, everybody. Thank you again. Till tomorrow. See ya and stay safe.